Han Meditation.
And one of the quotes that he said that was so powerful to me was, deep sleep is not an absence of consciousness, but a consciousness of absence. So truly think about that. When you're in deep sleep, there's not an absence of consciousness. There's just a consciousness of absence, a consciousness of nothing. So that's where, this stuff can get really paradoxical, even whenever you're thinking about the nature of reality and why does anything exist? Because even if nothing exists, that's something that exists.
In that case, I am not literally the body. The body is there. I'm not denying it. I seem to be embodied in this body. I seem to be, in close proximity with this body. It's there. But I am not literally it. Not only that, if I am this conscious subject, my experiences go on without the experience of the body. Let me repeat that. My experiences go on. For example, in dreams. When I fall asleep, the body is there on the bed and sleeping. I still continue to have experiences. My dreams, pleasant dreams, nightmares, all of that continues, and there's no part of that dream is the body sleeping on the bed. I've completely forgotten it. What am I saying? Our conscious experience as subjects can go on without reference to this physical body. That's all I'm saying. That also goes to reinforce the idea that I, as a conscious subject, am not literally the body. My conscious experiences can go on without experiencing the body. You might say, wait, just a minute, you're pulling a fast one. Because after all, you, the conscious being, this conscious subject, is being generated by the body. The body is the reality, and the body, the brain and the nervous system are generating you, the so-called subject consciousness, which is dreaming. So you actually don't exist apart from the body. You are not a separate reality apart from the body. You are just something that's an epiphenomenon, a product of the body, processes in the body. But that's not established at all. Forget Vedanta. Even in hard science, that's what's called the hard problem of consciousness. You have that right now, there is just simply no way of reducing our first-person experience as subjects, as consciousness, to the processes in the brain. That's the whole issue, the hot topic in consciousness studies. So we will go with this. I am consciousness. I continue to exist in dreams also without reference to the body, so I cannot literally be the body. Even further, even our minds, they're also objects. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, memories, all of them I experience. If I experience them, then it's an object. I am the experiencing consciousness. This distinction between mind and consciousness, pretty much well understood in Buddhism, Sankhya, Yoga, Advaita, not understood in modern consciousness studies. Still, if you ask a person in consciousness studies, what is it that you're studying? They will give a vague answer like consciousness, mind, emotion, ideas, memories, perceptions, all of that together. But no. Now we have this analytic knife to distinguish between consciousness and the mental objects. Thoughts, emotions, ideas. In fact, what we consider to be our personality. A person might say that, I really literally don't think I'm a bundle of flesh and blood, but I'm a person. I have a personal history, I have thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas. This is who I am. But all those thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas are also objects. Some of them were not there a little while ago. Some of them have come up in your awareness now. Some of them will fade away over years. So you continue. My wife for a reason, guys. What is you that continues? It can't be a thought. Thoughts they come and go just like that. It can't be a memory. They arise and fade away. It can't be a bundle of memories also. You are that bare consciousness which continues through the arising and disappearing of thoughts and emotions and ideas. So I am not even the mind. The mind is there, the person is there, but I am the consciousness which is dressed in the mind, dressed in the person, and dressed in the body. Vedanta gives a rather subtle, little bit of reasoning to prove this. It says that in deep sleep, as we go from dreams to deep sleep, do you still exist or not? Now, one might say, I don't exist. In deep sleep, it's nothing. It's just I'm not there. But then you would be put in a very strange position of saying that if I don't exist in deep sleep, and I cannot deny that there is a phenomenon called deep sleep, then in that case, every time I wake up, I'm created anew. I pop out of existence when I fall asleep, and I pop into existence when I wake up. It's very strange. Nobody will accept that. It's against common sense. It's against law. Law says that the one who went to sleep and the one who woke up is one and the same person, continue to exist. It's much better to say that there's some kind of sleep mode like computers have. So we went into a kind of hibernation, no activity, no experience of objects, but you existed. And if you are that consciousness, you existed. Advaita puts forward an interesting proposition. What happens in deep sleep, general anesthesia, coma, is that you continue to exist completely unaffected as this pure awareness, but no object is presented to you. It's like light in deep space. If you look at deep space, it looks dark, but it's full of light streaming from the sun. It's only when there is some object to reflect that light, suddenly you see something flashing and shining, like a comet racing through the solar system. You can see the brilliant display of the tail of the comet. But the comet doesn't come with its internal lighting. It's just light from the sun which is being reflected by the tail of the comet. And you see the brilliant display there. Similarly, if all objects are removed, there's nothing to see outside for because you're fallen asleep. You're not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, not even aware of the body, not even dreaming, deep sleep, no physical objects, no mental objects, just blank. That's deep sleep. That doesn't mean consciousness is gone. So Advaita says in deep sleep, it's not an absence of consciousness. It's a consciousness of absence. It's not that awareness is gone, but you are aware of only blankness and absence. What comes out when you wake up is just the appearance of these objects. So therefore, I am not even the mind, because I continue as consciousness when the mind is gone in deep sleep, anesthesia, coma. So this one consciousness, which experiences through the mind and body, the physical body and the external objects, through the mind, dream objects, mental objects, and when mind and body are not appearing, just the absence of the mind and body, this one continuous consciousness, can it die? So what changes and dies? Objects, all the time, by our own experience. But consciousness itself, can it die? If it was generated by the brain, it could die, because the brain will die after some time, in the death of the body. But if you say it cannot be generated by the brain, heart problem, care of the heart problem of consciousness, how will it die? It requires change, but consciousness itself is unchanging. You say, are we supposed to believe that? Consciousness seems to be changing all the time. Early in the morning, I'm a little sleepy, and then I have a cup of coffee, sleepy. And then I'm more conscious. Well, Vedanta would say what was sleepy was the mind. And what became more sharp and alert is the mind after a cup of coffee. Not consciousness itself. Consciousness revealed you as the sleepy mind. Consciousness revealed the alert mind. Consciousness was not sleepy or alert. It was self-same shining consciousness. This is a logical reason why I'm saying that consciousness cannot change. Why? If it changes, and you can speak about it, you can describe it, anything that you can speak about, describe, observe is an object to consciousness. Then the change must be in the object, not in consciousness. If it was in consciousness, it could not be objectified. But one might say that, all right, let consciousness change, but we cannot see it, we cannot experience it. Then why talk of it at all? That which can never be known, why postulate it? So there is this reasoning which shows that consciousness logically cannot change. Pure consciousness, bare awareness, cannot change. Change is that which appears to consciousness. The object changes, the limited things changes. The world of objects continuously changes. That's why we have the intuitive feeling. Even when we are not doing Vedanta, we have this intuitive feeling, I am the same one. From babyhood to teenage to middle age to old age, somehow I am the same one. You have this intuitive feeling. So If its consciousness cannot change, how can it die? How can it die? In Vedanta, consciousness is said to be unborn and undying. If I am unborn and undying, I have no fear of death. I, the consciousness, have no fear of death. Remember what we felt like earlier? I am entirely dependent on the world for all the goodies, and I'm scared of the world for all the baddies which come from the world. Now this one consciousness, think of this consciousness, do a mental experiment now, without reference to the world. You're not seeing anything, hearing anything, smelling, tasting, touching anything. You're not aware of the body, imagine in deep sleep. You're not thinking anything. You're not remembering anything. Suppose all memories of your personality have been erased. You've left it aside. No awareness of the external world. No memories. No thoughts. No sense of I even. Just the bare awareness. This bare awareness, what does it want? What does it want? As you say, nothing. Are you with me, some of you? You're following? It wants nothing. Because wanting comes with the activity of the mind. Right? What does it, or whom does it hate? Nothing. What does it expect? What is its guilt, sorrow, regret? Nothing. That comes with the activity of the mind. What is it waiting for? What God to appear, what samadhi to be attained, what enlightenment event. What is it waiting for? Nothing. It is deathless. It is beyond desire. It's beyond suffering, beyond wanting. It is timeless. Because time becomes obvious only when the mind starts working. Space becomes obvious only when the senses start working. You see, even when Advaita Vedanta says Brahman is all-pervading, there's already accepting space. You have accepted space, then you say it's all-pervading. When Brahman is eternal, and Buddhists have a great objection to that something is eternal. But that's only after you have accepted time, then you find a division between all objects are changing continuously, so Brahman must be eternal. But even time and space are appearances in consciousness, thanks to the mind. This one consciousness, it is deathless, it's birthless, it is complete in itself, it does not want anything at all. Does it want enlightenment, this consciousness itself? No. Some of you are not confident. If you think about it, just do a thought experiment, you will say, no, if it's something like that is there, it will not want enlightenment. And if I am that, I don't want enlightenment. And this one consciousness, someone might say, yes, but that's a very kind of abstract thing. No world, no body, no mind, and then there's some bare awareness. It's not our usual worldly experience. But wait a minute. Right now, what you call the usual worldly experience, is that awareness there, here, now? Think about it this way. Are you aware right now? You'll all say, yeah, we are aware. We are seeing you. How do you know? We are having experiences. We are seeing you. All right, close your eyes. You're not seeing me anymore. You're not seeing anything anymore. Are you still aware? What do you think? I can't see your response. You have to say yes. Yes. I'm still aware. And similarly, if I plug my ears, in a sensory deprivation tank, I don't see anything, hear, smell, taste, touch anything, would I still be aware? Yeah, I'd still be aware. I'd be thinking, when is this going to end? And if I stop thinking there, no thoughts, no memories, no ideas, no desires, would I still be there? Would that awareness would be there? Logically, yes, because those are objects. If I drop them, why would the subject disappear? But it's not experiencing anything, but it's still awareness is there. Even if I drop the sense of I, the awareness, just drop that also, the awareness would still continue. And that awareness, which is there in the absence of world, body, mind, is also there right now. In fact, if you don't see, you still exist as awareness. If you don't think, you still exist as awareness. But suppose, just thought experiment, suppose that awareness itself were not there. would you be able to see? The experience of seeing? That consciousness, that awareness, if it were not there, be bold. Just think, look at your experience. I, the awareness shining, am aware of thoughts. Through the thoughts, I'm aware of the body-mind. Through the body-mind, I'm aware of this external world. If I, the awareness, were not there, would this experience of seeing be possible? No. Would the experience of hearing, smelling, tasting, touching be possible? No. Would the experience of thinking, experience of the spiritual quest, would any experience be possible if I, the awareness, were not there? No. So this awareness, because of this, we are constantly having all these experiences. And forgetting the nature of this awareness, we are only using it for all these experiences. We are using a diamond to scrub dirty laundry. We are using it for seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting. We are using it for ambition and greed and fighting and hating. We are using it for suffering. And we are using it for a spiritual quest to take us beyond suffering. But this awareness in itself is beyond suffering already. Even in the midst of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, it's beyond suffering. What suffers? This awareness forgetting its real nature? In alliance with the mind and the senses and one body becomes a suffering living being, sentient being. The awareness recognizing its own nature with the help of the mind. How do you recognize? With the help of the mind. Recognizing its own nature in the midst of hearing, smelling, tasting, talking, living, doing whatever has to be done in life is free of suffering. If I identify myself, if I note that I am that bare awareness, no matter what happens, I'm actually free of suffering, in the midst of suffering also. Sri Ramakrishna, an example, famous example, dying of throat cancer. And his disciple, Hari, Swami Turiyananda, young boy, comes and says, how are you today, sir? And Sri Ramakrishna says, oh, it hurts, I cannot eat. And this young man, for some reason, says to him, but sir, I see that you're in great delight. Apni anande achen. The cruel thing to say to a cancer patient. Sri Ramakrishna bursts out laughing and says, oh, the rascal has found me out. He admits that this boy is right. I am in great bliss. Now, was he acting that he is in pain and he cannot eat? Is it his play acting? No, it's true. Just like any cancer patient suffers, he suffered. But like most cancer patients do not have this insight, which in the midst of suffering gives him this oasis of peace. That I am in my real nature.
Oh my gosh, I just get so excited watching it and listening to it. It's just so there's a lot to cover. Oh my gosh. So he's talking about being embodied in this body, but you are not the body. If you are the body, if I am not the body, my experiences go on without the body, just like in dreams. So it doesn't matter if you are the body is an object, you are the subject, the body is an object. So why wouldn't your consciousness go on without the body? Because the body is not creating the consciousness. The body is just a body that's holding the consciousness. So you're going to go on regardless, just like whenever you're dreaming, you have no awareness of your body when you're sleeping. Especially when you're in a deep dream, you don't think I'm sleeping on a bed. There's no aspect. Of course, some people might have dreams like that where they're in them, but I'm talking about when you're just having an actual dream, you're not thinking about, oh, I'm in my body right now. So it goes back to which one is real, this and that. That's not real, but it is real because you're in it. But either way, you're experiencing it without the body. So no part of the dream, you are sleeping in the bed with your body. And as we said earlier, thoughts, emotions, anything you can describe are the object. Mm-hmm. So it's just so cool and interesting to hear him say that because we just said that before he said it. Kelly said it. And it's just it's a big relief to even hear him talk like that. And we give our experiences, and because we're very into spiritual content, we're very into philosophy, we're very into learning. So a lot of this information, like I always say, we know the true core of it, but just hearing him say it is so awesome, so enlightening, so different that I just love it so much. And it's just so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of our podcast episode that we just did, which check it out if you didn't see that.
Podcast every Friday, guys.
Yes.
But go ahead.
And we talked about, you know, past lives and our souls after death or before life. And it goes to show that, you know, if we go through various lives, and even after we die, our soul, it still goes on and it looks, oh, well, that's the life I had. That was fun, wasn't it? And then go through a life review, and then we go back to remembering all our past lives. And then when people go to past life regression and they can see their past lives, because it's still all stored away in our consciousness, but it's too much to remember right here and now in this life, because that would be very, very confusing and mind rattling to remember all of the lives you've lived. So we have lived in various different bodies, different types of bodies. But even after those are gone, our consciousness goes on, and it's still one stream of consciousness that can be tapped into in past life regression, because it's all stored in the consciousness and within our soul, which is what we truly are.
Exactly. And one of the quotes that he said that was so powerful to me was, deep sleep is not an absence of consciousness, but a consciousness of absence. So truly think about that. When you're in deep sleep, there's not an absence of consciousness. There's just a consciousness of absence, a consciousness of nothing. So that's where, you know, this stuff can get really paradoxical, even whenever you're thinking about the nature of reality and why does anything exist? Because even if nothing exists, that's something that exists. So non-existence exists, which is a paradox. How could non-existence exist? Therefore, it doesn't exist. Therefore, there has to be existence. There, we just solved the nature of reality. But it's just so cool and interesting. You're supposed to laugh at that. But it's just so cool and interesting to it's just so cool and interesting to hear all this stuff. And I love these perspectives. But he's also talking about, if consciousness cannot change, then how can it die, guys? If your consciousness doesn't change, your consciousness doesn't want for anything. And in my perspective, we're all here on this earth to achieve perfection of the soul. That's truly what we're here for, just to learn and experience new things. But at the highest level, at the highest form, when you're just God, there's nothing you want. You already have it. You achieved everything. There's nothing. It's just you have it. You're existing. But exactly what he said, if consciousness cannot change, how can it die? That's what people have to really think and wonder. And, you know, deathless, timeless, beyond desire. Like your consciousness cannot die. It's beyond desire. It's beyond time. Time doesn't exist to your consciousness. That's what people need to realize and to learn. And it brings me back to whenever you said consciousness has no desire. Something I always say is no insistence, no resistance. You can't have insistence on an outcome or resistance to an outcome. And that's where your consciousness is, where it's just in between, no insistence and no resistance. And it's just going in perfect flow and harmony with reality and the cosmic waves of creation. And that's where we all want to get to, where we're just in perfect harmony, in perfect waves of creation. And there's no experience will be possible without awareness. And, you know, it's just, if you didn't have your mind, if you didn't have, you know, your actual consciousness, you couldn't experience anything. You could have someone who's not brain dead, who their brain is working. You can take a dead person, turn their brain on, turn their eyes on, everything is working, but no one's there to see. No one's there to think. Nothing's there. So your consciousness isn't your body. It's not your brain. You have to have consciousness to be aware. And I just love the end of the story. He's talking about the oasis of peace from suffering, because, you know, once you're into this information and truly understand that you do have an oasis of peace. A couple of years ago, I was in the hospital and everyone there was like telling me, oh, you should have died. I had a mini stroke. You know, they're telling me my organs are failing. They're telling me the worst information possible. And at no point in time was I sad. At no point in time was I crying. At no point in time was I, you know, thinking this is the worst thing that's happened to me. The whole time I was thinking, oh, that's completely fine. It's completely normal. I'm just going with the flow. If this happens, then that's good. Something good will come from it because everything that happens is good. I mean, they had, like basically psychiatrists in there, priests, healers, people in there, like questioning me, are you okay? They're calling me like, yo, are you, is everything fine? How are you this normal during this whole thing? And I'm like, dude, it's completely fine. I know that my body and my mind are healthy. That's all I need to know. Everything else will work itself out. And I always believe I'm the healthiest I've ever been. So hearing him say that, and a lot of people think, oh, that would be me. That would be me. Even I was thinking, oh, that would be me. But then whenever it happened, I was like, oh, okay, it is me. Because you don't really know until you're tested. And, it's not necessarily a fun thing, but it is, fun to experience new things. It's strange in that way, where I wouldn't want it to happen. I wouldn't want it to happen again, but, I'm grateful for the experience for sure. So that's awesome. We have a little bit left. So
yeah, and I really admire and look up to Han for how he handled that whole experience and still handle that today. And when I go through times that start to feel a little tough, I think about how he handled that and stayed positive through the hardest time of his life, and would be extremely hard for anyone to go through, and how he handled that. And I think if he can handle that through that, or, stay positive through that, then, it rubs off on me, and I should be able to be positive through something that's 1/100th of the difficulty of that. And I think it just comes down to, the way I see it, is consciousness is not awareness. It's the awareness of the awareness. So, you can look at this plant right here and think you're aware that it's a plant. But that's really that voice in your head that's aware of that, right?
Yep.
And so it's the next level deeper, where you're aware of the thought in your head of being aware of that.
Ooh.
And then you choose what to do with all this awareness and how to migrate and how to work through the world.
I love that. That's great. Awesome. All right. We got a little bit left. Might as well let's go ahead and finish this off. This is so exciting. Let me just see something. All right. Let's see what he says.
I am in my real nature as awareness, which is not an object, which illumines all objects, including this painful object of a cancer and a tumor and a dying body. I am all right. I was before this appearance of this cancerous tumor, and I'll be there after this cancerous tumor disappears and the body disappears. I am in the middle of that also. In the middle of this appearance also, I'm fine. And this is not just Sri Ramakrishna. All of us, we have that diamond right now, which takes us beyond suffering, which is itself beyond suffering, which makes possible, however, the experience of suffering. If that awareness were not there, would you experience suffering? No. You would not experience anything. So experience of pleasure, experience of pain, experience of bondage, experience of liberation, all of them, samsara and liberation, moksha, appear and disappear in that same field of awareness. And that awareness you are. You say, oh, this is great. Advaita Vedanta, wonderful. What I just quoted now is literally a line from Mahayana Buddhism. Samsara and Nirvana both are phenomena appearing in that limitless, clear light of the void. You see how it seems to come together. One more step is necessary. So right now it seems I have isolated myself as pure awareness. I investigated the subject, the seer, the experiencer, in Sanskrit, drashta, and I've separated myself from the drishya, this world. I am the subject, pure awareness. The world appears to me, and I am just this awareness, bare awareness. But then one might ask, first, what is this world then? What is its relationship to you, the awareness? And how is this non-duality? This seems like complete duality. Awareness and a world of objects. Right? That's what we have achieved so far. No non-duality so far. This is Sankhya philosophy, a Sankhya dualism. The world of objects and this awareness. Now, Advaita Vedanta comes and says, Tattvam asi. The reality which appears as this world of objects and the reality, this awareness which you are, they are one and the same reality. That which appears as this universe is called Brahman. That which appears as you, this awareness, is called Atman. And Advaita Vedanta says, Atman is Brahman. That's the conclusion. You are that. Atman is Brahman. In that book, Jim Holt's book, Why Does the World Exist? This is not an inquiry into oneself. It's an inquiry into this universe. And there he goes around asking, philosophers, nuclear physicists, cosmologists like Roger Penrose, mathematicians, computer scientists, people of religion, theologians, why does this world exist? And towards the end of that book, he asks a famous American philosopher who passed recently, Robert Nozick. And he asked, same question. And after some discussion, the philosopher seems to sort of metaphorically throw up his hands and says, who knows, maybe the Hindus are right, Atman is Brahman. So Advaita Vedanta comes in and says, no, that material reality is not apart from you. Because Atman is Brahman, what you found as that bare awareness, yourself as this limitless awareness, and what it is experiencing as this world of objects, whose reality is Brahman, they are not two. Atman is Brahman. Sam Altman, ChatGPT, he also said that. Atman. Somebody asked him that, tell us something that you believe which most people don't know or don't believe. And he said, Atman is Brahman. How does that solve our problem, establish non-duality? Here is it. As one great master said in Hindi, he said, ये तो ठीक है कि दृष्टा दृश्य से अलग है, लेकिन कभी सोचा है दृश्य क्या दृष्टा से अलग है? What does it mean? It is true. Consciousness is distinct and apart from all the objects. You are awareness, distinct and apart from all this world of objects, changing objects, including body and mind. But have you ever thought, consider this thought, is this world of objects, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, physical body, mind, is this world of objects distinct from you? You are distinct from all of this, but is it distinct from you? What does it mean? See, when usually two things are distinct, one thing is distinct from the other, the second one must be distinct from the first. So, for example, this microphone is distinct from this cloth. So, cloth is also distinct from the microphone. They are two separate things. How do you know? One good way of is, can you experience one in the absence of the other? Can you experience the microphone in absence of the cloth? Yes. Can you experience the cloth in absence of the microphone? Yes. So they are separate things. But if there's something that you cannot experience in the absence of the other, you begin to think they may not be two distinct things. They seem different, but if one cannot be experienced without the other, then there must be some connection somewhere. So what? Now think about it. Objects appear to you in consciousness. You experience objects in consciousness. Consciousness can exist by itself, can appear, but can continue in the absence of objects like deep sleep, like coma, like samadhi. Consciousness can continue. But can objects be ever experienced without consciousness? What is the principle? Two things are separate if they can be experienced separately. Now I'm asking, can objects be experienced without consciousness? It's a trick question. The moment you say experienced, you're already building consciousness into that question. What is experience? Consciousness plus object. That's what we decided earlier. Objects can never be experienced in the absence of consciousness. In fact, the absence of consciousness, according to Advaita Vedanta, is an impossibility. Objects always appear to consciousness in consciousness. And then Advaita Vedanta makes this remarkable claim: if objects cannot be experienced in the absence of consciousness, then the objects cannot be different from consciousness. Somehow it must be consciousness itself experiencing itself as objects. As one monk put it, what's the nature of the eye? The nature of the eyes is to see. But when a little kid looks up into the sky, it's just empty space. There is no surface to be seen. He imagines, it seems to him like an inverted blue bowl, like a surface which he's seeing. The eyes want to see. There's no space to be seen. And so it looks like a surface. There's no surface to be seen. This empty space looks like a surface. He gives that example and says, consciousness alone exists according to Advaita Vedanta. The nature of consciousness is to experience. Look at our own experience of life. Nature of consciousness is to experience. There's nothing else except consciousness to experience. And consciousness cannot be experienced as an object. So the great conclusion is, these objects, so-called objects, are nothing but consciousness itself appearing to itself in that form. That you must give credit consciousness as innate ability of consciousness, what the Buddhists call a magical display of the phenomena of samsara and nirvana. When in samsara, struggling through spiritual life, you recognize the nature of reality as this limitless awareness, then the same samsara now appears to you as nirvana. Nagarjuna, 2,000 years ago, he said there is no distinction between samsara and nirvana. That sounds stunning, because the entire project of Buddhism is to go from samsara to nirvana. Now you're saying there's no distinction, but don't misunderstand. It does not mean that the spiritual project is wrong. In fact, that's the only project that's worthwhile. But ultimately you will see that which presents samsara to you, this world of objects, that when it's truly recognized, this very world of objects samsara will seem like nirvana, will be nirvana to you. Freedom. Because that consciousness, it neither requires samsara nor requires nirvana. It's always free. That's why Shankaracharya sings, Mano buddhi hankar chittani naham, the chidananda rupa shivoham. Then he says, Na dharmo, na chartho, na kamo, na moksha. I don't even want moksha, nirvana. Why? Chidananda rupa shivoham, shivoham. Because I'm of the nature of consciousness and bliss. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. That's why the consciousness itself does not want moksha. It's the sentient being who feels that I'm caught in samsara. Moksha is not here as yet. Very interesting last word. Very Purnam type teacher, who said, in every path, whether you're worshipping God as mother like he did, or as the beloved Krishna, or as the Christ of the Christians, or as Allah of the Muslims, in whichever way you do, it is the same reality. You can see the Purnam philosophy behind it. Once he was asked about the Buddha and emptiness. It's in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Somebody said to him, but the Buddha was a Gnostic. A Gnostic might mean two things. One is a non-believer in the Vedas, which he was. And the other one is not believing in some God or ultimate reality, which he was not. Sri Ramakrishna immediately protested and said, why should he be a Gnostic? He could not express in language what he had discovered. He could not put it in language. Why could he not put it in language? Was his Sanskrit grammar faulty? But no, he was a very learned person, a very learned prince. He had gone through all the philosophies, and after giving up his kingdom and searching for enlightenment, he had gone to all the existing masters and learned whatever they had to teach. So he knew all that. But what he had discovered finally could not be put in language. The moment you have language, you have concepts. Language and concepts come together. And you try to put in that, you will be doing an injustice. So Sri Ramakrishna said, but he didn't explain all this. He just said he could not put in language what he had discovered. And I'm just reminded, the Buddha's great silence when he was asked these questions. I think 14 questions, he remained silent. There's a lot of discussion in Buddhist philosophy. Why did he remain silent? Not because he didn't know the answers. He knew all the answers, but none of them were adequate. Why did he remain silent? Because the real answer cannot be put in language. And that's the beginning of the Madhyamaka philosophy of Nagarjuna, who says if you clothe it in language and concepts, it's bound to be wrong. And then comes the extraordinary statement of Sri Ramakrishna. He says, Osti nastir majhe sheikhane thik thik. In Bengali, that which is between is and is not. That's exactly right. Which is a very strange statement for a Hindu teacher to make. The Hindu teacher, beyond existence and non-existence, beyond the manifest and non-manifest, is Brahman. That language you find in the Upanishads, in the Gita, na sat na saduchyate, Bhagavad Gita, you find that language. But between, This between is a very peculiarly Buddhist idiom. In fact, the very word madhyamaka means between. It's neither the extreme of some existing God, Atman, Brahman, nor the extreme of nothingness. It's between. Madhyamaka. Literally, in anybody who knows Indian languages, it sounds immediately like middle. Madhyamaka. And here Sri Ramakrishna says, that's exactly right. This most Hindu of all teachers, this image worshipper of Kali, this Purnam teacher, and he uses the word of the language of Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti and says, that's exactly right. All right, we take it as it is. It's an amazing journey into emptiness last week and into fullness this week. I pray to Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada, Swami Vivekananda, to bless us with that vision, with that insight, which liberates us from samsara, where we can finally see samsara and nirvana or moksha as appearances in the reality that we are, this limitless awareness. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Suffering, basically.
Thank you very much.
Wow. That was probably the best thing I've ever seen from Swami Sarvapriyananda. I mean, that was incredible. That was like mind-boggling. I feel truly gifted and appreciative to be able to watch something like that. That was just one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I can't, just as an overall review, I mean, he touched on so many topics. He made it interesting the whole time. He was very clear and concise and compendious with his words. It was just really an incredible thing to watch. It was, truly an anamnesis of, relearning this knowledge and bringing this knowledge forth back into the people who need to see it. That's why we like to do these kind of videos so that more people can watch it, more people can understand it, more people can view this. And I feel like Westerners in general, they need to hear this kind of information. They need to know this is out there. They need to know that, there's things that permeate, in between and beyond their religion, and that these kind of philosophies, like he said, Purnam, is within all religions, and they all believe the same things, because that's what I believe, that all religions truly are one, and that everyone's worshiping the same God. So one of the things he said was Brahman and Atman is Brahman. You are that. So he was saying that you are basically the observer of the objects as the subject, but you are also the same as the object. So you are one and the same. That brings it back to oneness and experiencing oneness. And he asked, can objects be experienced without consciousness? And like you said, that's a trick question. Can objects be experienced? Because once you say experienced, you're already implying consciousness is there. Because consciousness is experience, which is very interesting. And I loved when he said that. And like I said, he said Purnam is behind all religions, because everything is this and that, everything is God essentially. So how could it not be correct? And one of the interesting things, whenever he was talking about, I believe he was talking about Buddha at the end, right?
I'm not sure.
He was either talking about Buddha or a famous Buddhist, but let's just say Buddha. Whenever they're asking him the questions, and basically the language wasn't, because I always say like the English language isn't complicated enough for me to get my ideas across sometimes. When I'm describing, let's say, Kelly's beauty or my love for her, what she means to me. But a lot of times whenever I get out of a deep meditation, and I have such a high level of awareness and enlightenment, and my vibration is just so astronomically high and out of this world, sometimes I don't even feel like speaking. I just want to take a vow of absence in silence, because nothing I could say could describe the experience I'm having, and there's no point in speaking at all. And that's probably how he felt when he just had such a high vibration, reached enlightenment at all times. There was probably nothing he could say, nothing. You just have to experience it for yourself. There's no point in speaking. There's no point in talking. I mean, it's just, there's no point in trying to even explain this information because for what? What am I going to explain it for? You can't even comprehend what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We can't comprehend the feeling that I'm feeling. The love that I'm experiencing in this moment is beyond anything that anyone could ever imagine. So that's what my take on that was. But overall, I'd say that was like a solid, 9 out of 10, completely, absolutely awesome. I loved it so much. I love Swami Sarvapriyananda, and we're going to keep watching his videos. Guys, keep recommending stuff. I will get to it. But Kelly, what did you think about that? The whole thing, and then maybe if you have some parts of the last part, but what do you think about the whole thing?
Just great stuff. My consciousness has definitely expanded, and I'm walking away with a lot more analogies and, short little sayings and phrases that when I talk about this with people, I can, use these examples to help other people expand their consciousness. Mine's definitely expanded, and it's probably going to, in random different ways, help my way of seeing the world at all different times. And it's great stuff. He really knows how to word it. He really knows how to get it across in a nice, calm way and funny way at times and keep it entertaining. And I'm really glad we watched it.
Yeah, because if you know this information, like, a lot of times, like we just, if you're into this kind of information, or your enlightenment, or you do meditation, you kind of already know a lot of this stuff. But if you can't communicate it to someone else, then what's the point of knowing it? Yep. It takes a true talented person to be able to communicate what you're thinking. And just being on this forum with Kelly and us communicating and talking, it allows us to get better at communicating and being better orators. And like with our podcast, we're talking for over an hour every time, and we're getting better and better at it. And we truly love and enjoy it. Check out the podcast. New episodes every Friday, guys. The next podcast, we might even do it on Purnam. Who knows? We'll see. So, but thank you guys for watching so much. We love all of you, and we're so grateful to be on this experience with you.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.